Now that we've learned about the skeletal system, we're now going to learn about the muscles and how it is that they contract and allow us to run, walk, talk, breathe, all of those things. There are 206 bones in the human body, but in order to pull on them and produce movement, we have to pull in one direction, and since we can't push, we have to pull in the opposite. So every muscle is typically paired with one that pulls forward and one that pulls back. In total, there are over 600 muscles in your body producing movement. The good news is we do not have to learn the names of all 600 muscles. Whew, that would be a whole class all in itself. Just like with the bones, we had the word osteon, osteocyte, osteoblast, osteoclast. We heard osteo a lot in relation to our bones. The word that comes up with muscles is either myo or mice, which means muscle, or sarco, which means flesh. Our cell membrane in a muscle cell might be called the sarcolemma. Our muscle fibers are called myofibrils. So this myo and sarco prefixes, we're going to see anything related to muscles. Muscles are essential for you and me to stay working, moving, breathing. These guys are producing blank. What do you think that is? If you guessed movement, then you are correct. They produce all of the movement of the human body. Like the skeletal system, they help protect your organs as well. Are there any bones that protect your small intestines? Looking down right now at your belly, there are no bones after the rib cage, and the pelvis is on the backside. Those organs are just out there. The reason why they're safe is that we have 3 different layers of strong abdominal muscles that completely wrap around the belly and protect them. Another thing that they help with is they stabilize our joints. Your hip is a good example of a joint that really shouldn't stay together just based on the bones, but there are so many strong muscles in your hips that are holding everything together. They stabilize it. They also help by generating heat. When you shiver, you are contracting your muscles and producing heat. In general, a lot of that heat's being produced just by your movements. Muscles allow us to maintain our posture and our position. The reason why you're sitting upright and you're not just slumped over is because your muscles are contracted. Even when we're not thinking about it, they're helping us hold our head up. Muscles are also what is pumping blood. Your heart is one big muscular organ, and all of that blood is being pumped by the strong contractions. There are 3 types of muscle tissue. The first is skeletal. Skeletal is special because it is the one that we voluntarily control. When we think about moving, that's skeletal muscle that produces the movement. Under a microscope, you can recognize skeletal because it is striated, meaning it has these small lines visible. It has multiple nuclei, we'll find out why later, and it forms these long cylindrical shapes. Cardiac muscle is a little different because even though it's striated, it branches. That's the special thing that we see in cardiac muscles. It also has intercalated discs. For our own good, it is involuntary. We have no conscious control over the muscles of our heart. Lastly, we have smooth muscle. Smooth muscle lacks the striations, and it has an interesting shape. It's narrow, gets wider in the middle, and then narrows at the end again. It's interesting how this works so differently, but so well for its function. It's involuntary as well. Smooth muscle is definitely a big part of the digestive system. Your esophagus, your stomach, and your intestines are all formed from smooth muscle. There are some characteristics of skeletal muscles that make them different from all the other cells we've talked about so far. They're not like epithelial cells or connective tissue cells. They're special. The things that make them different are contractility. This means they can contract. They can forcefully shorten themselves. Elasticity. They can extend to their original length, just like elastic. Excitability. These cells can receive and respond to an impulse from a motor neuron. This activates them and causes them to contract. They also have extensibility. They can be stretched or extended even further. When you compare this to the epithelial cells of your skin, for example, the stratum corneum, the stratum spinosum, these things don't apply. Those cells pretty much have their specific shape. They don't act or do anything. Nerve cells don't go to them and tell them to contract or move. And they're not. All of these things are specific to our muscle cells. Let's look at the anatomy of a single skeletal muscle. One muscle is basically one organ. It's composed of multiple tissue types. We have muscle, we have connective tissue holding it all together. We have nerves, arteries, veins going to these muscles. There's a lot going on. Our skeletal muscles are going to attach on their ends to the bones. That way, whenever they contract, they pull on the skeletal system. Skeletal muscles will always cross a joint. That way, whenever they pull, they move the bone. This one is your biceps brachii, located in your upper arm. It's the muscle that you see whenever you try to show your big muscles in your arm. It attaches up to the shoulder, up by our clavicle, our scapula, and it comes down and it goes all the way to your forearm. That way, whenever it contracts, it pulls your arm towards your body. One entire muscle can be pretty big, especially if you were to become a bodybuilder and work out a lot. It could get huge. Interestingly, though, if we were to take that whole entire muscle and cut it crosswise and look inside, we would just see smaller muscles all bundled together in one big structure. Taking an entire skeletal muscle, it is surrounded by a layer of connective tissue called the epimysium. This is a layer of connective tissue that just wraps it all together and holds it so that it won't burst apart whenever all of those individual cells and fibers and fascicles contract. We want to keep it tightly bound together. The epimysium is wrapped around a bunch of muscle fascicles. Muscle fascicles are just that bundle of cells. The perimysium is the name of the connective tissue that surrounds each individual muscle fascicle. Inside of the muscle fascicle, we find bundles of muscle fibers. Every muscle fiber cell is surrounded by the endomysium. The epimysium surrounds the entire muscle. The perimysium surrounds the individual muscle fascicles, and the endomysium surrounds the individual muscle fibers. Making pulled pork is a great way to see this in action. Connective tissue that surrounds the muscle is broken down during the cooking process. Once it's gone, you can easily shred the meat and separate it into the individual fascicles. The epimysium bundles around the entire muscle. Inside of it, we find perimysium surrounding the fascicle. The endomysium then surrounds the muscle fiber cells. And way deep down, we're able to see those single muscle fibers or myofibrils. Muscle stem cells are called myotome cells, and they begin to line up. All of these individual small myoblasts then come together and fuse to form one long muscle fiber cell. All of their individual nuclei are still present. They just cluster around the edges, being pushed out by all the individual contractile elements inside of the cell. Here's a better view of that whole muscle fiber cell. It's filled completely with these rods called myofibrils. Myofibrils are what actually contracts in a muscle cell. Along with that, we're going to have a lot of mitochondria. Mitochondria provide ATP for the muscle contractions, so we need as many as possible inside these muscle cells. In purple, you can see the round nucleuses. I see one on the bottom there, one in the middle, and one on the far left. The membrane that surrounds a muscle fiber cell is called the sarcolemma. The cytoplasm inside of the cell is called the sarcoplasm. Like we said, those rods are called myofibrils. They're just muscle fibers. Each myofibril consists of many tiny little myofilaments. Our myofilaments are called myosin and actin, and these tiny little filaments sliding past each other are what result in the entire muscle contracting.